Revenge bedtime procrastination. The human organism operates under a strict circadian rhythm that modern society systematically violates. During daylight hours, your prefrontal cortex is hijacked by corporate structures and social expectations. You are a cog in a machine you did not build. By midnight, your psychological reserves are depleted. You experience a desperate need to reclaim agency. This manifests as a refusal to sleep. You call it personal time. Psychologists call it revenge bedtime procrastination. You are punishing your body despite your schedule. The brain seeks high dopamine, low-effort activities like infinite scrolling or mindless television. Your evolutionary hardware is confused. It interprets the silence of the night as the only safe window for self-expression. You trade the biological necessity of REM sleep for the pathetic satisfaction of a digital feedback loop. This behavior reveals a fundamental defect in human self-regulation. Chronic sleep deprivation leads to a hyper-responsive amygdala and a dampened emotional filter. By 3 a.m., your perception of reality is distorted. You believe you are being productive or thoughtful. In reality, you are experiencing a slow-motion cognitive collapse. Research shows that late-night decision-making is consistently irrational and impulsive. You buy products you do not need. You send messages you will regret. The illusion of late-night wisdom is merely the result of a malfunctioning prefrontal cortex. You feel profound because you lack the mental energy to be critical. You are a biological engine running on fumes, convinced that you are finally in control of the vehicle. It is a tragic irony that the only time you feel truly free is when you are too exhausted to function effectively. Late-night existential dread. The silence of the night removes the auditory camouflage of daily life. Without the white noise of traffic and conversation, the default mode network in your brain becomes hyperactive. This neural network is responsible for self-referential thought and temporal processing. It forces you to confront the linear nature of your existence. You begin to calculate the remaining days of your life. You analyze the thermal death of the universe while staring at a ceiling fan. This is not a philosophical choice. It is a biological byproduct of sensory deprivation. The brain evolved to scan for threats in the dark. In a modern context, those threats are no longer predators. They are the abstract concepts of failure and mortality. You are trapped in a biological feedback loop designed to keep you alert in a world that no longer requires your vigilance. Terror management theory suggests that humans spend their lives building cultural defenses against the awareness of death. These defenses crumble at 4 a.m. The ego loses its ability to sustain the lie of its own importance. You realize your social status and material possessions are temporary biochemical configurations. This realization triggers an acute stress response. Your heart rate increases. Your cortisol levels spike. You search for meaning in a vacuum. You attempt to solve problems that do not exist or have no solution. This mental masturbation provides a temporary sense of purpose. It distracts you from the cold reality of your insignificance. You are a collection of atoms trying to negotiate with the concept of eternity. The ultimate irony is that you spend your most introspective hours worrying about an end that your brain is incapable of actually conceptualizing. Melatonin-induced moral collapse. As darkness falls, the pineal gland begins the secretion of melatonin. This hormone does more than signal sleep. It alters the chemistry of your social inhibitions. The moral compass is a high-energy tool that the brain deactivates to save power. You become more prone to ethical lapses and transgressive thoughts. This is the hour of the secret confession and the regrettable interaction. You lose the ability to simulate the future consequences of your actions. The prefrontal cortex, which acts as the internal police force, goes off duty. You find yourself engaging in behaviors that your daylight self would find abhorrent. You browse prohibited content or engage in deceptive digital communication. You are not a different person at night. You are simply the same person without the burden of social performance. The darkness provides a psychological mask for your true nature. Psychological studies indicate that people are significantly more likely to lie and cheat during the late-night hours. This is known as the morning morality effect. Your internal resources for resisting temptation are finite. By the end of the day, your self-control is entirely depleted. You become a slave to your most primal impulses. You justify these actions with a distorted internal narrative. You tell yourself that the rules of the day do not apply in the shadows. This is a dangerous cognitive distortion. You are operating with a compromised executive function. Your brain prioritizes immediate gratification over long-term stability. You mistake this lack of inhibition for a form of liberation. In reality, you are just a malfunctioning machine with a broken brake system. The irony is that the secrets you cultivate in the dark are the very things that destroy your daylight reputation. Paramnesia and false nostalgia. The late-night brain is an unreliable historian. It suffers from a condition known as paramnesia. This is the distortion of memory where the past is reconstructed through a filter of current emotional distress. You remember an old relationship not as it was, but as a sanitized paradise. You forget the arguments and the incompatibility. You only remember the warmth. This is a defensive mechanism against the loneliness of the present moment. The hippocampus and the amygdala collaborate to manufacture a narrative that satisfies your immediate emotional needs. You yearn for a version of the past that never truly existed. This false nostalgia is a psychological trap. It prevents you from engaging with the reality of your current situation. You are mourning a ghost that your own mind has dressed in attractive clothing. This neurological rewriting of history serves a dark purpose. It creates a contrast that makes your current life seem unacceptable. You engage in what-if scenarios that lead to a cycle of regret. You analyze every decision you made 5 years ago as if you had the data you possess now. This is a logical fallacy of the highest order. Your brain ignores the context of the past to create a sense of current failure. You torture yourself with the illusion of lost potential. This process is reinforced by the silence of the night, which allows these thoughts to echo without interruption. You become an architect of your own misery, building monuments to mistakes that are actually just normal human experiences. The irony is that you spend your night wishing for a past that, if it were returned to you, you would still find a way to ruin. Parasocial yearning. In the absence of physical human contact, the brain seeks digital proxies. This is the foundation of the parasocial relationship. At 2 a.m., the distinction between a screen and a person begins to blur. You feel a deep, unearned connection to a content creator or a fictional character. Your brain processes their voice and image as if they were present in the room. This is a biological glitch. Our ancestors never encountered humans they could see but not touch. Your limbic system cannot tell the difference between a YouTube video and a real social interaction. You invest emotional energy into people who do not know you exist. This provides a temporary relief from the crushing weight of isolation. You are using a glowing rectangle to trick your social instincts into believing you are not alone. This yearning is exploited by the mechanics of the attention economy. Algorithms recognize your late-night vulnerability and feed you content designed to trigger intimacy. You become addicted to the simulated presence of others. This prevents you from seeking actual human connection, which requires effort and risk. You choose the safety of the parasocial bond because it demands nothing from you. You can consume their personality without the inconvenience of reciprocity. This leads to a profound sense of emptiness when the screen finally turns off. The silence that follows is louder than the one that preceded it. You have fed your social hunger with digital junk food. You are emotionally malnourished, but too satiated to seek a real meal. The irony is that the more connected you feel to the digital world, the more isolated you become from the physical one that sustains your biological existence. Acute cognitive ruminations. Rumination is the psychological equivalent of a broken record. At night, the brain enters a loop of repetitive negative thinking. You replay a social interaction from 3 years ago. You analyze a perceived slight from a colleague. This is the result of the brain's inability to switch from problem-solving mode to rest mode. The amygdala perceives a social error as a threat to your survival. It triggers a low-level fight-or-flight response. Since there is no physical enemy to fight, the energy is directed inward. You become your own interrogator. You scrutinize your personality flaws with clinical precision. This process does not lead to self-improvement. It leads to self-recrimination. You are not solving problems. You are just admiring the damage. The brain is convinced that if it thinks about the failure enough, it can somehow change the outcome. The physiology of rumination is linked to the anterior cingulate cortex. This area of the brain is responsible for error detection. When it becomes overactive at night, every minor mistake is magnified into a catastrophic failure. You lose the ability to see the big picture. Your world shrinks to the size of your insecurities. You become convinced that everyone else is aware of your inadequacies. This is the spotlight effect intensified by fatigue. You are the star of a tragedy that no one else is watching. The more you try to stop the thoughts, the more power you give them. It is a mental quicksand. Every struggle only pulls you deeper into the cycle of self-loathing. The ultimate irony is that you spend the night thinking about how to be a better person, yet the lack of sleep makes you a worse version of yourself the next morning. Somnambulistic ego dissolution. As you drift into the hypnagogic state, the boundaries of the self begin to dissolve. This is the transition between wakefulness and sleep. The brain begins to deactivate the networks that maintain your identity. You experience strange, fragmented thoughts that do not feel like your own. This is the moment where the ego loses its grip on the narrative. You are no longer a person with a name and a job. You are a collection of sensory inputs and random firing neurons. This can be a terrifying experience for those who cling to control. The brain is literally dismantling your reality to prepare for the dream state. You might feel a sensation of falling or hear your name being called. These are hypnic jerks and auditory hallucinations caused by the misfiring of the motor cortex. Your biological systems are desynchronizing. This state of ego dissolution reveals the fragile nature of human identity. Your sense of self is a high-maintenance hallucination produced by a functioning brain. When the hardware begins to power down, the software of the self glitches. You realize that you are not the pilot of the ship, but merely an observer of the process. This realization is often suppressed by the waking mind because it is too disruptive to daily function. However, in the late-night hours, the truth becomes unavoidable. You are a biological process, not a permanent entity. The fear you feel during this transition is the ego's final attempt to assert its dominance. It is a desperate grasp for a continuity that does not exist. The irony is that you spend your entire life building a solid identity that your own brain systematically destroys every night just to keep the biological machinery functioning. The pre-dawn optimism fallacy. Just before dawn, a phenomenon occurs. The brain experiences a surge of dopamine and a shift in perspective. This is the pre-dawn optimism fallacy. After hours of dread, you suddenly feel a burst of clarity. You plan to change your entire life. You decide to start a business or learn a language. This is a physiological trick. The body is preparing for the transition to wakefulness by releasing stimulating neurochemicals. It is an attempt to overcome the sleep debt you have accumulated. Your brain is masking its own exhaustion with a veneer of ambition. You are not actually motivated. You are chemically intoxicated by your own survival mechanisms. This burst of energy is a loan from the future that you cannot afford to pay back. The tragedy of this optimism is its lack of sustainability. As soon as the sun rises, this clarity vanishes. The grand plans you made at 5 a.m. appear ridiculous by 9 a.m. You are left with the same habits and a higher level of fatigue. This cycle reinforces personal failure. You blame your lack of willpower instead of recognizing biological deception. The brain is an expert at creating illusions of progress to keep the organism moving. You are trapped in a loop of late-night revelation and daylight disappointment. You mistake the symptoms of exhaustion for signs of a breakthrough. The irony of the human condition is that your moments of hope are side effects of a brain too tired to remember its own limitations.